Hello and welcome to Microsoft Hates Greg. My name is Greg Deckler, and today we're going to be talking about stacked column chart alternatives. So Brian Julius made a post on LinkedIn and basically said, stacked column charts kind of suck. And so here's a different way of doing it that some people, I'm not going to even attempt to, try to pronounce their names, but these people, Brittany, Kevin, Sebastian, I'm not going to try it. So came up with this other technique essentially. So good post by Brian, and he replicated it using ggplot and R. And then there's a bunch of people that chimed in. Oh, you can maybe use error bars, do it, whatever, blah blah. I went ahead and created it, tried to create it using a couple different means. Right, and I think this one obviously is the best, right, in terms of this is the total, right? And so instead of stacking it, you replace it with a clustered column chart, and then you have the total kind of displayed in the background. So you get the same effect, right, that you have here with stacking the visuals, but it's broken up, and then you can, kind of more directly compare, you know, this category, consumer, versus corporate versus home office. I don't think it's terrible comparing that. Like it is kind of the middle, kind of sucks to compare. Um, but yeah, I mean, it does pose problems. I've never liked stack charts. I never use them um, because I just think they're ugly and I don't think they hold a lot of analytical value. But I do like this form. And then I tried to do it with error bars and it kind of came out like this, which I think is gross. Maybe something that's better with error bars can do something better. And then I tried to do it with using analytic lines. And I'll touch on this, but this really didn't work out either. Even with the fancy new shading from the March, it just falls short because of other systemic issues with these analytics pane. Let's put it that way. All right, so this is the best one. Now I will say something. This does use stacked visuals. And I don't know what other people's opinions are out there. My opinion is that stacked visuals are a trash solution, just garbage solution in general, and something that just highlights Power BI's lack of visual capabilities, right? When you have to, it just seems like just a hack to me, which it is, in my opinion. It's a complete and utter hack to use stacked visuals. It's just a garbage, non-professional way of doing things that you're forced into too often with Power BI, right? It's just, and I'll show you why I hate them so much. One, it's just massive amounts of formatting and other shenanigans that you have to do in order to get these stupid things to work right. And it's just a garbage solution, in my opinion. Maybe other people feel differently. So anyways, we're gonna go and create this from scratch. And we get started here. We're going to pick our clustered column chart. And we're going to say, okay. Now we're going to do it first cluster column chart, right? We're going to use this measure here, which is basically it grabs the max of the measure and then sums it, right? So we're going to put region in our x-axis. We're going to put category in our legend. And we put our measure here, and that did not work out because I don't want to categorize it. There we go. So this is going to be the background, more or less. So let's go ahead and format these columns to be just some kind of gray here. That looks good. Then on top of that, we're going to basically, if I can get out of here, let's just copy and paste it. So paste right over top of it, right? And now we're going to add category in here to our legend, to this one. And then, of course, you're going to do some formatting, like you're going to go in here and add some data labels, the columns, the layout. I would like a little bit of space between these. So we're going to do a little bit of space between them. And something's not right because I don't want my measure. I just want my value. There we go. Fixed. And then I don't like the format that it chose for the data labels because Power BI always chooses the wrong thing. It's without fail. It's incredible how consistent it is. that it will always choose the wrong settings. Okay, so here we have our clustered column chart. The defaults are just always wrong. And then, here we've got this. It doesn't look quite the same, and we'll get into why. But then the next thing you got to do is come in here, turn here to the effects, turn the background off, and now we can see our, the things that are showing up in the background. But there's lots of problems, right? I mean, there's like, oh, well, this is all just like overlapping and all this other stuff. So you might think, okay, this is where this comes in pretty handy, right? So we can choose, that's that one. This is the measure by region. So this is this one, right? So you have to use the selection pane, which you can find. You can go to view, and then you turn on your selection pane. So that's one of the reasons I despise stack visuals, is you're forced to use this kind of stuff. So like if I turn off that, right, then I can see I can work with this one. Okay, so I also want data labels on here, right? And you're thinking to yourself, well, all this stuff's overlapping, right? So let's just turn it off, right? Let's just, pick this one, and we'll just start turning off like things like the title and things like that. So you go in here and you start to do that stuff. You turn off the title, and then you go in here and say, oh, I want my x-axis. I'll just turn that off, so I don't get the values on that, or the title on my x-axis. You go on the y-axis, and you say, oh, okay, I can turn that stuff off. So now I've got a nice clean and everything, and then you go back to here, and it's broken, right? That's not what you want, right? Because everything's shifted around because you turned everything off. So that's not a solution, obviously. So go back to it. It's this one. And we got to go turn everything back on. Turn the title on, turn the values on. What we're going to do is we're going to set the title, set it to white, right? We're just going to set these things so that they're turned on, but they don't show. Turn on the title, turn on the values, make it white, go back here, turn the title back on, make the title white. So stupid. All right, so anyway, so now we should be able to come back here, and now things are lined back up, right? They're kind of, we got our effect mostly, right? The problem being is that this is interfering in here, and actually these are two very different scales. So if I go in here, anyway, if I go in here and turn the y-axis values back on and make them so that they are not, right? It goes from 0 to 0.8 million, versus this other one is going to like 0.4 million, right? So they're misaligned. Okay, so we can fix that. Again, back to this, and then come to here, go to the y-axis, let's say 0, and then 1 million. And I suppose that we could make this dynamic, right? We could always make it dynamic by writing some more DAX. Sure, whatever. Take the upper, value and then multiply it by some factor of safety, right? Okay, so we've got that. We go back to this one. We also go to its y-axis, and we have to make its values be white again. And then we set the same exact 0, 0. I love when Microsoft Power BI Desktop puts like tooltips in the way of where I'm trying to click, and then I can't click it. It's great. So, okay, so 0 to, wait, 1 million. If I can get this right. There it is. Okay. So much fun. I mean, my God, if you aren't doing this all day, I mean, what'd you do with yourself? Okay, so it's looking pretty much like the way that I did something with the columns of the back one, maybe the layout. space between categories. I reduced that down. Yeah, I reduced it down a little bit to kind of get, them inside, fully inside. And it's not great, and I don't know how to fix some of it, right? Like you get like this weird, like little skinny edge here, and this edge is skinnier than this, and maybe you could play around with it to make it better, but it's not. I wouldn't call it great. This one seems to come out a little better, but you still have some of the same kind of issues, right? Where you have a big space here and just a little bit space here. So it's just you have to tweak the settings and tweak around with it, but you can come up with something that and there's still something wrong. So back to here, back to data labels because Power BI always picks exactly the wrong default values for everything. Thousands. Okay. Why would it pick? Why would it pick? I don't even know what it was picking. So picking, it was like point. Now I can't even, like, I do auto. So I can't even, you would think it's in millions, but it's not. When I pick millions, it does this. Like, what kind of setting is that for auto? Like, who would want to see their numbers in decimal millions, like, versus whole number thousands, right? It's a mystery to me. Like, where are these, like, who's thinking that, like, oh yeah, that's a good idea. Anyway, it's just the worst default settings ever in any product on the face of in all of human history. Okay, so that's how you do it with these stack visuals, which can come out. Oh, there is one big problem though. So if I click on this, right? So okay, I fixed it with the measure. Maybe. Yeah, okay. So these kind of go away when you're clicking on this. Now, if you don't want that to happen, you don't want this interactivity between the background, right, and what's going on. The way to fix it is you have to, right, go to, yep, I'm on that one. You have to go to Format, Edit Interactions, and then I want to edit the interactions with the one behind it. But of course, if I hide this, then my edit interactions goes away. Right? So like, what do you do? So you have to, okay, so I'll go and bring this up here, and then I can turn off the interaction with the old visual, and drag it back down, and then go back, click back on this, click back on format, click off on interactions. And now when I click on these, now my background doesn't matter, doesn't like kind of get faded out even more or anything like that. It's completely independent. So there's that, right? So I did try it with error bars. It came out like this. This was as good as I could get. Maybe somebody that's much better at using error bars can fix this. But basically, you go in here, go into error bars, right? I created my measure, my upper bound, right? So it's takes into account what region you're in, filters all to just that region. So you get your error bars here. Now the issue with this is I kept the other one up. It's not actually, so the error bars aren't really representative in terms of visually where they should be, right? Where they should be is up here, but they're not. They're down here. So I think that's a problem with the error bars. So visual representation is that uh that it's just this isn't really where it needs to, proportionally. There's some issues. And maybe the error bars are correct and these are wrong. Either way, there's problems, right? Because 250 versus 500, I'd have to like kind of that would be double 500. So it's I don't know, it's I don't know. One of them's wrong. That's what I believe. I believe that one of them is wrong, right? Because ideally, right, these should all line up, right? These should all line up. So either the error bars are wrong or the other visual is wrong in terms of where it's drawing this line. So there's that. So error bars, I didn't have much success with. I did try it with just out of the box analytics, especially with the new shading, right? It's like I told you guys in a few videos ago, I was gonna have to like play around with it to see if the shading is worthwhile or not. It's not, right? Because of the other limitations within the product. And I'll show you exactly what I mean by that. So this is another single visual. I went in here and I said, okay, give me a constant line. In this case, right, I had a constant line and it's I based it upon like east, this east measure. So the east measure, what I was trying to do with it was say, hey, only display a value if you're in the east region. Otherwise, don't display a line. Well, it doesn't like that because it evaluates it all within, um, yeah, within the entire context of the visual, right? So basically, I don't have the option of having this line appear as a constant line only like over the east, right? So the line would only appear here. Maybe I could, now that I'm thinking about it, maybe I could do it with a line in custom clustered column chart. Maybe we'll give that a try here. But anyway, but these don't evaluate that way, so it doesn't care. So the west line shows up where it should because west is the maximum, right? So if you do a max of the region, it's going to return west because alphabetically, right? But for east, it's going to display 0. So I can't get it to display. So let's give it one more. We'll give it the old college try and see if we can do it with a line and clustered column chart instead. So let's see, line and clustered column chart. All right. I don't know why I chose line and clustered column chart and it changed my data labels. I mean, you guys all saw that, right? Oh no. Oh no, Greg. We realize you just spent the last like however many minutes like formatting these visuals exactly the way you want them to be. But you chose a different visual, so we're just gonna turn on backgrounds for data labels because why not? We know better than you do. Thanks, Power BI. I really appreciate that. That's fantastic of you to do that. You know, unfreaking believable. Oh, and then my colors are wrong. Jesus Christ, bro. Sorry. Sometimes you just get so frustrated with this tool. Ah, okay. I'm calm now. I'm doing this all ad lib, people. So there it is. All right. So now theoretically, I could take my east line. Oh, that's cute. That's that's yeah, it is. That's exactly what it's gonna do. It's not gonna have. There aren't additional points. There's just the one point. um, yeah, yeah. So then it's really just a point. If I do zero, not zero blank here. So that could be an acceptable solution, I suppose. So lands, it's is it the series labels? No. Um, the data label. So the data labels for East, and then I would data label. So data label for East, show for the series. It's there. Um, there's title works. Oh, because I set the there. So okay, so this could be a possible solution. So if I did that for, east and I did that for west, it'd be a lot of configuration. I'd have to come in here and go west. Yeah, okay, fine. Um, blank, blank. Thank you. Yeah, that is not correct. Sum X, filter all, region equals region, value blank. Why is that? Why is that there? Doesn't seem like that's where it should be. Oh, my God. Okay. Secondary y-axis. 0, 1,000,000. There we go. That looks better. And then we got to go down to data labels. Then we got to pick west. And then we got to set the value be something other than, I guess it could be, probably would want this to be the same color all the way through, which then means that I got to go back to my lines and say for west, color should be purple. So I could do that, right, for this. I don't think it's as impactful as this, right? I think this is kind of more clear in terms of what's going on, right? You're encapsulating all of this, right? That's much more obvious just visually, just looking at it, that this is all one unit, right? And that's the total for it versus this, right? You'd have like one here, one here. That this is not nearly as visually appealing to me, or intuitive, I guess you could say. But there you go. There's one, two, three ways of doing it, and the absolute, yeah, the shading and imagine that the March shading for Power BI that does absolutely nothing for us. So thanks for that, March update Power BI. Glad that feature got put in there. Anyway, that's all I had for this video. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.